like Jay. Cause y'all don't love me anyway, so I'll fade to black, just like Jay.
Hey guys, so today's video is about knowing when to walk away. I chose this topic because it is something I've had to do quite frequently in this last year or so of my life. I've had to walk away from a lot of situations. Some of those were easy. Some of those were extremely hard. Some I'm still dealing with. But I recognize that there is power in goodbye. Walking away from my marriage was difficult, very difficult, because I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't want to be a single mom of 4 kids trying to figure it out. But I realized that I was drowning in that situation. And not to throw shade or grow a tree, but I spent way too much time negotiating with my spirit in that situation. Dealing with things and putting up with stuff that just didn't feel right. And my friends and other people that loved me would be like, girl, when you done, you gonna know you done. And I would be like, no, I'm never gonna be done. Like, there's nothing we can't get through. There's nothing I can't get past because, I mean, we went through everything. And I really did think that that was going to be my forever. But as the situation started to come to a close, I just got increasingly more and more uncomfortable. And it wasn't about being unhappy. I mean, I wasn't happy, but I had gotten used to not being happy. But it started to feel like a squeeze, like a choking of sorts. And I would have to have these really long conversations with myself to get myself to just suck it up, for lack of a better word, and to just stay in that situation. And it wasn't about love or a lack of love. I mean, I loved him. I knew way before the end that I wasn't in love, but I just thought that it was one of those things where, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes you in it 100%. Sometimes, you're like, oh, I can't stand him. That is a normal part of marriage or relationship. But this was different. This was like, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I couldn't move. I felt like I was got to a point where I was just struggling to get up. And I would blame it on other things. I mean, I have lupus, so I would blame it on, it's just my physical health. It's just, my body giving up on me. But mental, spiritual, emotional anguish guaranteed to cause some physical issues. And I started realizing I was having like flare up after flare up after flare up. And I was just like, why can't I not just get good? Like, just be okay. And I'm not going to get into the particulars out of respect of what happened, but it was another incident. It was another cheating incident. And it wasn't even the day that I found out. I realized that I had a problem when I was confronted with the truth earlier in the evening. And it was right there in my face. I mean, I saw it. I still went through that whole night like nothing was wrong. And it wasn't that nothing was wrong, but I just felt dead on the inside. Like, I just felt like I couldn't, what was the point of saying something or making it an issue or making it a thing? So I didn't get angry right away. I just got quiet. And I just did what I had done for a long time, which was just fake it until you make it. Then, got home and just realized, like, nah, you angry. Like, like you're supposed to be angry. Like, you're supposed to be angry. You're supposed to be upset. And I rolled into that. I rolled into that feeling of feeling like I'm supposed to be angry, but I didn't really feel that. I didn't really feel that anger, but I was like, this is what you're supposed to do. I know it sounds crazy, but it was like, this is how you're supposed to react. And so, I went through getting a proof and, made a semi scene the next morning. But by the time I got in my car to leave to go to work, I was just like, I don't care. I don't care. I did not care. Like, I didn't care. It had become so normal and so just whatever that I didn't care. But I also realized in that moment that, like, I didn't care about me either. Like, I had really gotten to that place where I had told myself, like, oh, this is just the norm. This is what your life is. This is what it's supposed to be. If you want to make this work and you want to be able to have the, white picket fence, then you're going to have to do this. And I really was, and for people who know me know I use this phrase all the time now, but I really was negotiating with my spirit, because the last bit that I felt like I had at that time was screaming at me like, oh no, it's time to go. It's time to walk away. It's time to leave it. It's time to let everything else figure itself out and just, I mean, it can't get no worse than this. And it was just, I started to have thoughts. Like, I started to realize that if something happened to me that day or that next day, that's not how I wanted to leave. And even more so, it was like, this ain't the person I want holding my hand as I die. Because it don't feel right, and it don't feel genuine, and it don't feel real. And I lied to you not. I woke up, not that next morning, maybe the morning after that. And I just was like, I'm done. And I felt so at peace with that to an extent. Like, I was like, no, I need to say this. I need to verbalize this. And it wasn't one of those things like it had been before where it's like, if you don't get it together, I'm out. But I know deep down inside that I'm not out. No, I was out. And I was like, and I told him. And I did get, like, emotional in the conversation, but I realized that, like, my emotions weren't tied to the fact that he was, basically okay with it. It was more tied to the fact that, like, it was the beginning of the mourning process. It was like, I have to let a dream die. And in order to walk away from this situation. And that a lot of times is what holds us in these relationships, jobs, friendships, whatever. It is the thing that keeps us locked in, because we become afraid to face whatever the future might be. We get afraid to face whatever the uncertainties are. But I'm going to tell you this. The life that I have now is hard as hell. And I have had many a moments where I have said, oh no, I can't do this. Like, I got to figure it out. I got to work it out. I got to try to make it happen. I got to try to pull my family together, whatever the case might have been. But I found that leaving did something for me. Walking away from that situation gave me a strength and a power that I could not come back and fight against. Like, that's not to say I didn't have moments. That's not to say that there weren't times where I saw him and I was just like, damn, you know what I mean? Because you can't spend that much time in your life. My whole adult life was with this man. And so you can't spend that much time in your life with somebody and not be like, oh, you know what I mean? And I would sometimes be like, oh, why he can't just get right? But then I asked myself one day, like, if he came to you tomorrow and said, hey, Asia, look, I went to therapy and I got my life together and I found Jesus and I, created this foundation for us. Could I turn around and walk back into it? And the answer I had to tell myself was no. No. It wasn't about giving up on my marriage, but I realized that it was like, if I step back into this situation like this, I'll be giving up on me. And walking away is what I needed to do in order to be able to hold on to me. And like I said, it has not been easy. I have had many a moments where I've been like, I just want to go back, because familiar pain is a thing. Like, something could be damaging and hurtful to you, but you become so used to it that you just roll with it. But that doesn't make it good for you. As a matter of fact, all it's doing is just damaging you. You're damaging yourself at that point. And you gotta learn that it is okay to walk away from a situation that hurts you. It is okay to walk away from something that does not make you feel good. It is okay to walk into a place of uncertainty. Because if it saves your life, then it's just worth doing. And I've had to walk away from other situations. I've had to walk away from friendships. recently, and recognizing that, like, I can love you and I can care about you and I can miss you and I could want the best for you, but nobody's going to take care of me but me. Nobody's going to make sure that I'm good but me. And if I find myself in a situation where I have to question everything, or if I find myself in a situation that just doesn't make me feel good, it's okay to walk away from that. And that the pain is temporary. The loneliness will pass. And you will be all right. And realizing that, like, you have the power, I have the power to, my happiness only comes from me. It doesn't come from other people. So I have the right to set the rules on how I maintain my happiness. And even if that means that I have to cut people out of my life in order to be able to do that, that is what I owe to myself. And how could I sit here and be in these situations that are damaging or questionable or hurtful and then expect from my children to understand healthy relationship, expect for my daughters to know how to pick themselves first if I'm not willing to do it. And trust me, if I'm not doing it, then I'm maintaining bad habits and they see that and they're learning from that. And that's not what I want from them, for them. So knowing when to walk away, it's not going to be, there's no magic bag that drops down from the sky that says today's the day. You're not going to get a random text on your phone that says, oh, time to go. You're just going to know. You're going to know. Whether it's, like I said, that relationship, that friendship, that job, that family member, whatever it might be, you're going to know. You're going to know when it's time to walk away and to leave it where it's at, because you owe yourself that much. And you're going to mess up. You're going to slip up and you're going to take 2 steps back sometimes and you're going to fall back into old habits. I mean, for me, I think my biggest slip up, though quick, was when I realized that, he had stepped into another relationship. Oh, initially it was like, wait a minute. I wasn't, hold on. I was going to get right back. But then, and it was quick. I'm talking about before the day was over. I was like, what are you doing? But I had to give myself some grace and say, like, yo, just because you walked away doesn't mean that you healed. Just because you walked away doesn't mean that space is not still there. And just because you walked away does not mean that that there's not some love still there. Like, that's hard, especially when you're in a situation where it's like, you got to raise children with this person. So no matter what you do for the rest of your life, you're going to have to interact with this person. So it is hard. It was hard. It is hard. Sometimes, because you find yourself looking at this person and you're like, damn, like, how did we get here? You know what I mean? How did we get here? How did you go from planning the rest of your life with someone to we can't even have 5 minutes of conversation? Like, that's a big transition to make, and it's not easy, but knowing that you're making the best choice for yourself makes those phases and those slip ups and those trip ups that much easier to get through. And knowing that you'll be better for it. And knowing that walking away from a situation for someone like me. Now, I've proclaimed myself to be a runner. Like, I run from some emotional shit. Like, if the situation is getting too heavy, I found in my dating life, if the situation is getting too heavy, I had a tendency to run. And I didn't do that in my marriage because I did so much work to not run in the beginning, that I would just, like I said, negotiate with my spirit to stay. But something about picking yourself first and then walking away from a situation makes it that much easier to walk into the next situation. And that's where I am now. Like, I have walked into a situation that is complicated, but I've done that work, and there's a freedom in that. There's a joy in that. There's an ability to take a deep breath in walking away, because you can't do the work and the repair until you come out of the storm, until you come out of the thing that is damaging you. It's just not possible. Like, it's like simultaneously trying to plug a hole and while you running into the wall. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all, and it's not going to work until you step away from the wall. You're not going to be able to assess the damage and know what you need to do. And that's what I've spent this time doing. Like, really just assessing the damage, excuse me, from that marriage, that relationship, and those other relationships too, because I walked into damage because I came from damage. I came out of damage. But being able to assess those things as an adult and start slowly but surely doing the work in order to heal and find my center, find my joy, find what makes me happy. And the biggest blessing has been recognizing that my happiness comes from me, because I'm not looking for him to make me happy. I don't have the weight on that situation. I'm not looking for him to fix the hole that was left, because that is work I'm doing in me. So he gets to just be him. And, you know what I mean, add to the pie as opposed to having to bake the whole thing. You know what I mean? But there's power in that, and there's joy in that, and there's grace in that. And I'm able to face, you know, my ex with mostly a smile on my face. And if we have an issue, it usually resolves around the children. It's not emotional. It's not relational. Because I was able to release that. I forgave him. And in forgiving him, I also forgave myself. I agreed to give myself a fucking break because I didn't have the tools. I didn't know, but I do now. So I'm not allowed to make them mistakes like that in my next whatever, right? And I won't, because I was able to recognize how I got there, what I needed to do to make sure I never get there again, and how to be the best version of me going forward. So I know I said a lot. Y'all know I be rambling and stuff. But I just want to, like I said, reiterate the point again that it's okay to walk away. It's okay to take a minute and step back. Maybe you're not ready to completely leave, but take a minute and step back and focus in and figure out where you are with it and what you need to do for you. Because nobody is going to care for you the way that you care for yourself. Nobody is going to make you happy. Nobody is going to fix that hole. Nobody is going to rebuild your self-esteem. That's all on you. That's the work that you got to do. So walk away, take a step back, give yourself a break, figure it out, and know that that is 100% okay. All right? So thank you for watching. This is a biggie for me because I talk about a lot of stuff with y'all, but I don't really talk about get specific about what's going on. So this video took all day to make because I was trying to figure out the right way to approach the conversation. And like I said before, this was not about being disrespectful to my ex or to any of those things. Like, no matter what happens, I will always have love for him. I will always have respect for him. Like, that'll be my forever family. We have 4 beautiful children that we are raising together, and I want nothing but the best for him, as I'm sure he does for me. So this is not about shade. This is just about truth and speaking mine. So if you like what you heard, definitely drop a comment below. Subscribe, follow, share. And y'all give me some feedback. Let me know how you feel about, walking away. Or if you're in that situation, you just want somebody to talk to, I got you. All right? Y'all be blessed. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Mwah. Bye, guys.
Somehow make me the blame for walking away.